President Joe Biden has closed the NATO Summit in Washington. Earlier today, with a year's solo press conference, the monumental event comes as the Democrat president is looking to defend against continuous calls for him to step aside following a flop debate performance against his rival Donald Trump. Addressing the intense scrutiny over his mental fitness to serve another term, the 81-year-old U.S. president called himself the most qualified to run for president. In the very statement, he stumbled and went on to call Republican frontrunner Donald Trump his vice president instead of Kamala Harris.
I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president. So let's start there. Number one. The fact is that the consideration is that I think I'm the most qualified person to run for president. I beat him once, and I will beat him again.
He also claimed that neurological tests have proven more than once that he is in good shape. The president revealed that he has had 3 such tests, with the most recent one being done in February this year. The president, in his unscripted news conference, also announced a new NATO support plan for Ukraine. However, right after announcing it, President Biden referred to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky as his arch-rival, President Putin.
And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. You can beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin.
President Biden also added that he has, quote-unquote, no good reason to talk to the Russian President Vladimir Putin anytime soon, claiming that Putin is not ready to accommodate any change in behavior. While the slip was being watched closely by President's critics, various world leaders came out in his support, while saying that anyone can have slips during speeches. French President Emmanuel Macron called Biden, and I'm quoting here, in charge of top matter of NATO.
I'll refrain from commenting on American domestic politics. We all slip up sometimes. It has happened to me, and it could happen again tomorrow. I would ask for your indulgence, as I would from any kind-hearted person.
And for more on this, our correspondent Susan Teherani is joining us live from New York. Thanks for joining us, Susan.
To be with you.
Right. Now, the news conference tonight was Biden's first in 8 months and was intended to show that he is sharp enough to face off against Donald Trump. Now, foreign policy is an area that Biden has tended to feel very comfortable discussing, but it seems that the president's slip-ups and gaffes ended up overshadowing the rest of his performance. Now, what do you say?
Yeah, that's a very accurate assessment. Unfortunately, the White House continues to send President Biden to these public events, hoping that something dramatic will happen and the tides will turn around. While it wasn't as catastrophic as his debate with Donald Trump, but we saw the clips, we played them right now as you were describing what happened briefly, and it seems that the president really struggles at times not only to bring his message home. He fumbles, he makes mistakes, and that, calling Vice President Harris President Trump is already having a field day with that on social media. But I want to say what was very noteworthy was that while he was very determined to say that he's going to stay in the race, he almost threatened his Democratic colleagues to come after him during the convention. For the first time, he left a slight door open when he said that the only way he would step aside was that if his aides told him that he would not win. So that's something to take into consideration, but nonetheless, he seemed very defiant, and whether or not any minds were changed, well, immediately after that press conference, more than a dozen Democrats came out in public once again and said that, very politely, that President Biden should step aside as the nominee.
Right, Susan, do stay with us. We'll, of course, come back to you in a moment.